Sahil, how much of a distraction will this be? Of course, it's a very, very busy week, whether it's tax reform or health care.
I think Megan is spot on here. It's hard to imagine a more Trumpian move than changing the topic from two difficult and complicated legislative items to the national anthem and the flag. Now, I think based on the polls we saw after Colin Kaepernick took a knee and registered his protest originally, most Americans did not think that was patriotic. They don't want to see this. And the NFL in particular has an overwhelmingly white fan base, about 83%, according to one survey I saw. So I think President Trump does view this as an easy, comfortable political fight, much more so than healthcare, which is dividing his own party, dividing his base, much more so than taxes, which is one of the most contentious issues. But this is a crucial week for those two domestic legislative priorities of the president. They are not looking likely to pass an Obamacare repeal bill this week. The deadline is on Saturday. And the next big legislative item on taxes, the negotiators are still working to figure this out. Now, I would wish good luck to anybody who wants to compete for attention with this cocktail of the president, NFL, NBA, the national anthem, and racial justice. That's going to be something that people are talking about for a very long time.
Sahil, let me ask you what we're going to get from the Congressional Budget Office today. A new version of the health care bill was released with some sweeteners designed for those who are still on the fence about whether or not they plan to support this legislation. What's the CBO going to give us today? Is it going to be a look at an update on that piece of legislation, the most recent version?
So firstly, those sweeteners did not end up winning over Rand Paul. There were some in Kentucky, but he's still a no. He's come out against the revised version of the bill today. Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski both likely need to be yes in order for this bill to pass, because John McCain is still a no, and it's going to be very difficult to win either of their votes. Now, the CBO score that's coming out later today is going to be a preliminary analysis that simply gives the green light or the red light as to whether the bill meets the basic reconciliation standards in terms of the $1 billion that needs to be saved for it to pass the Senate with a simple majority. Now, again, crucially, this CBO score is going to be of the original Graham-Cassidy bill, not the revised bill that officially came out just this morning. So Senate Republicans are going to be flying blind on a number of levels. We're not going to know the coverage impacts, how many people will lose their insurance, and we're not going to know what it's going to do to premiums.
Megan, if Republicans can't get the votes or they decide to scrap this bill altogether, I mean, they've been trying to repeal Obamacare for the last 7 years. How much will this hurt them?
It's like a zombie movie that we've seen too many times already, frankly. As we just discussed there's a no on Rand Paul. Everyone expects that Susan Collins will be a no. As many sweeteners as they've thrown at Alaska, it's difficult to see how Lisa Murkowski gets there as well. So this is the thing. There's the fundamental opposition to this latest attempt to repeal Obamacare is largely one of process as well, and just that it has not been done in a bipartisan way, has not really attracted any supports on both sides of the aisle. If this bill is scrapped and never even gets to the floor, I think you will see a renewed push to really stabilize the exchanges. Some bipartisan work is being done on that, will continue to be done on that, on keeping those exchanges in place. And Sahil didn't mention one other big thing happening this week, which is in Alabama, with President Trump supporting a candidate in Luther Strange for Senate over Roy Moore, a very conservative firebrand. That looks not great in terms of the polling right now. That will be a big issue for the president as well, who himself this weekend worried that he may have backed the wrong man.